Question: do you think we're getting a little out of hand with maybe way too big of portions in our food sizes? What says you? Let's talk about it. Back in a minute. Morning, good morning. This is Jan from New York City. My channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money, and I love helping people to keep some more hard-earned money. How you doing this morning? Hope that everybody finds this audio video doing well. Listen, I don't know about you. I don't know how old you are that you're listening, but according to my analytics and my statistics, quite many people beyond the age of 55 are listening to me mainly. Usually, people in my own age bracket are the main folks listening to me, and I am just turned 64 this past December. And we have lived long enough to see plenty of different food trends in types of food, trends in sizes, and we'll talk about the portions in a minute. How many of you remember the quiche Laurent craze back in the 1970s? Remember that? Oh man, everything was quiche, quiche, quiche. Oh, it was. Don't get me wrong. I still to this minute like a nice, good piece of quiche every once in a while. But that trend was like a very hot thing to do back in the 1970s, for example. And let's talk about portion sizes. Okay, when I was a child, let's say in the late 1960s and early 70s, for example, the size of a typical corn muffin or blueberry or chocolate chip muffin, if they even had really chocolate chip muffins back then, I'm trying to remember. Not too often in my recollection. That came about a little later on. But the size, let's say, of a typical muffin, let's say corn muffin, was a fraction. Trust me on this, a fraction of the size of what the muffins today are. We got so used to, pretty much even addicted to, these humongous portion sizes of drinks, for example, like in those fast food places. I mean, you could get sizes from the sublime to literally the ridiculous. And I say the ridiculous because more often than not, a lot of those things that you paid for, keep this in mind, with your hard earned money somehow makes it to the let me throw away the rest of it down the drain. So people are literally throwing their cash, the value they spent, down the drain. Why? Because of excessivity. So wouldn't it stand to reason if we took a little bit of a step back, even the size of a typical slice of pizza back in the day, to me, from my recollection, was a bit smaller than the ginormous slices that one could get at a local pizzeria. It's not always a question of choice. Sometimes it's just the way it's presented. But here's where it is a question of choice. What do we do about it? Do we continue to consume these large portions of things that are cost us more money than not? Well, that's something we could actually remedy. We may not be able to manufacture their specific product, but if we like that company's product, we can still maybe find ways to divide it up and share that product a little bit more. So is there something that, like, look around and say, what am I doing with these huge portions? Okay. Then you could save not only money, you could save a bit of calories too, maybe some too much fat or too much sugar or whatever. And that's another thing. Let's talk about cupcakes just for a second. You know those pre-made cupcakes that you could find in your bakery section at the grocery store? I don't know about you. The miniature ones, they look so adorable to look at. But for me personally, I think there's way too much cream on top. Way too much cream on top. So this is a matter of taste and this is a matter of decision making. So what could we do about it? We can do plenty, okay? Now, let's suppose that you enjoy fresh pizza from the pizzeria, or sometimes some grocery stores make their own on the premises, which are fairly good and fairly large size. I mean, depending on your family size and everything, if you have a small family of two, for example, does that mean you can't buy one of those? Sure, you can. But does it mean it has to be eaten up the same day, that whole humongous pizza? No, not necessarily. You can get 2 nights out of it. You can get maybe one night and one lunch out of it. You see where I'm going with this? Work with these larger size items and see what you can do to have it at a fraction of the cost. Sandwiches lately, they just so overtly stuffed. There's a famous deli not far, in proximity, that a person can go to anywhere around here, really, in any state, literally, like those delis that make those huge sandwiches. Can I tell you something? I literally could take that big sandwich home, literally, take half of the filling inside of that sandwich out, literally, and make an additional sandwich out of that, literally. Have I done that? Yes, I have. I honestly believe that we became too addicted to too many humongous sizes. Now what, let's talk about coffee for a minute. And I make this reference, let's say, to old classic TV shows, okay? Where you see the husband and wife back in the late 1950s or even the early 60s, and they're drinking out of dainty little china cups. And it looks so good. And I do recall those smaller cups and people drinking way smaller sizes. People weren't sitting around drinking 16 ounces of coffee back in the late 1950s. That was unheard of. Drinking all that, people would probably look at us funny today, going, "What? You're drinking all that?" Again, that increases the risk of people pouring the remainder of it down the drain, which many people do. Do we really need to have 16 ounces of coffee? Now, some people do. I mean, this is relative to your need and your fix for your coffee in the morning. But I believe that in general, as a whole, we got way too used to it. Do you realize that by making a simple swap out of habit, how much you are reducing your coffee intake, and ultimately the money you're spending on coffee? Do you realize if you could get a hold of those vintage cups, the one that I'm talking about, those dainty, pretty little cups and saucers, by the way, which I think is so very pretty to look at. Just say they really, really are, not just for display on a hutch, but to like actually use and enjoy. So, I mean, we can make the decision to stop filling our mugs. And it was unheard of people drinking out of coffee mugs. People drink out of dainty, pretty little cups back then. Just saying, just saying. So, this is a good, smart way. Smaller cups, smaller mugs, using less, slowing down the rate of spending. You see, these are choices we can make. Instead of having that huge pizza, cut it in half, freeze the rest of it for the future. And by the way, just as a little tidbit note, when you reheat a pizza in the air fryer, it comes out just as if you got it from the pizzeria, fresh from that oven. I mean it. I'm telling you, reheating pizza in the air fryer is a really, really easy and great go-to thing to do. Just saying, just saying. It only takes a couple of minutes. Very, very simple. But see where I'm going with this? We need to consider slowing down our rate of usage on these ultra big portions of food, not only to save money, but to save even in calories, and to save, on fats and all this and all that. All the good stuff. If we could reduce on that, I say we're better off. By the way, just saying, just saying. Help out YouTube algorithm and let other people get a chance to see this video by simply doing the following. Don't forget to click like, share, and subscribe. Subscribing to your channel and making to this channel and making sure that you hit the notification bell. I don't just only upload at 5 a.m. Eastern. There are times I pop on out of nowhere, and if you are enjoying the content of this channel, I strongly urge you to hit the notification bell. There you go. Hey, listen, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate everybody's time, and have a wonderful and amazing upcoming day today. There you go. Make it happen. Have a great day, both to you and to your wonderful families. Take good care now. Bye bye.